Welcome to the Peter Stevens Motorcycles Vic MX Recap Show, presented by Moto Cred. Peter Stevens Motorcycles have been supporting grassroots racing for 50 years and continue to do so with the Peter Stevens Victorian Motocross Championship. Peter Stevens have over 6 locations with Ringwood and Dandenong in the southeast of Melbourne, Geelong and Adelaide, along with the new stores. PS are now in Perth and Western Sydney. Stocking all major apparel and parts brands, manufacturers and more, Peter Stevens, everything for the ride. Presented by Moto Cred, Moto Cred have over 600 products to suit your bike, from tools, stands, foot pegs, levers, and everything else to bling out your dirt bike. To view the range, visit www.motocred.com.au.
My name's Cooper Danaher, and you're listening to the Peter Stevens Vic MX Recap Show.
There were times I was lost, dark had fear, couldn't see through the rain. In the end it was clear, hit the fan. I was more than one man who was there to lend a hand. Together we'd stand, always at my back, my guardian soldier. Team pulled together, united we conquer. Blessed is he who in the name of charity carry me when I'm weak straight through the valley of darkness. Pitch blackness, the heartless, regardless, fear couldn't part us. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. We ride, 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 ride. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper.
Welcome back, Moto fans. We have got another great show lined up for you today. The first round of the Peter Stevens Junior Victorian Motocross Championship, which took place in Portland over the last weekend, is now complete, and it's already shaping up to be a fantastic series. Joining me now on the line, my regular co-host for these Peter Stevens Vic MX shows and the voice of Victorian Motocross, Kenny Watts.
G'day, Pete. How you going, buddy?
I'm going very well, mate. Very well. It was a good, though late, trip back from Portland. It's, I think, about a 6.5 hour drive, but I'm back in the office now going through content, and now we're recording a podcast.
Yeah, mate. Rumour has it the weekend drained the batteries for you. So.
Yeah, it's not the what you want at the end of a long couple of days is to get into your car and have a flat battery, but that's exactly what happened. Yeah, on the Sunday Arvo.
Yeah, it takes it out of you, doesn't it?
Oh, it definitely does, and I think I haven't actually looked at my steps from Portland, but I usually cover sort of 20 to 25 Ks, and Portland being flat, to get like lots of good shots and lots of good angles, you have to cover a lot of ground. So yeah, I definitely walked a lot, and I had sore feet by the end of the weekend.
And you're getting around again, which is good.
Yeah, how was your weekend?
Kids love it.
How was your weekend?
Totally different. Yeah, totally different, that one. Done the commentary for the weekend, helped out with sign-in for both days with Nicky, and yeah, we went from there to down on Stargates, just helping a little bit, then started commentating. So I was out and about and watching 100% of the race and for both days. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I think the MVMX committee was a little short-handed in the lead-up. Was it sort of a bit chaotic or a lot of work to get it all ready to go at the last minute?
Yeah, well, see, Darren was away in Caroline, so we were down 2 straight away, and then Jason Batten's father was a bit ill, so Jason stayed on too. So we were down to only a 3-man crew, and then a bit of help from the club, and I grabbed a local mate. He come along and done some officiating and helped out. Well, he's getting his hours up, so he come along and helped out, and yeah, we just took a long time Friday night to get to the esky, unfortunately. So
yeah, well, you guys did an absolutely fantastic job, and so did the club in prepping the track. I think we had a record number of riders. I think there was over 300 class entries, and even more riders from interstate than last year. So that was just unreal to see, before the gates even dropped, just to get such a good turnout and such good numbers and interest in the state championship.
Yeah, once again, some good numbers from Tassie, New South Wales, and the Northern Territory had a couple of kids come down, and just the timing worked. They're down here at the moment, and they'll do Gilman next weekend, who's got the Australian Junior Motocross Championships later in basically end of September, October. So come down and spend a week. Even Tassie kids have come over and was looking for a place to ride this week after racing at Portland, looking for somewhere to have or at Hayward, and trying to find somewhere to have a ride, and then head over to Gilman for the weekend racing on Saturday. So.
Yeah, and we had heaps of South Australians over as well. Obviously, good prep for them for the state championship over there as well.
Yeah, they just going through a stage where they need that little region series to kick off and would probably help them, but there's not a lot of racing in South Australia at the moment. They were doing a little bit of a twilight, not twilight, what would you call it? Little sprint series Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings that would go until maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's it before the heat.
Yep.
Just modified tracks and just giving some gate starts and things like that. Sounded pretty cool. They come over and had a race, and they've always come over, like the idea that they're actually racing against graded riders. And we know a lot of the kids and the grades that they should be in. So there was a couple we had to do a little bit of homework on, but I think we've done pretty good, to be honest, this time round. So.
Yep. Is it hard work? Like, what sort of background checking can you do to see where they end up?
You've got to go back and look at their state championships from last year. Talk to people in states that know them and get a little bit of a row down, because they're meant to come and race in A grade if they're unknown, but a lot of riders, apply to go down a grade or whatever, not race in A grade, knowing, or they don't deem themselves ready for that. So then it's us having to do the homework.
Yep.
And look at them and look at riders from states and see how they race against riders that we do know and do that. So we do know a lot of the riders that have raced in Victoria over their careers. They've raced 50s, they've raced 65s, and we know where they sit, and we even grade them to include their grading. So when they come back, they don't come back and race in C grade again. We elevate them into B grade, and we elevate them into A grade too. So those riders that come across and support our series over continuing to do it. So there's riders out there. Some people go, there's 2-digit numbers out there. We know who they are, but they go, oh, he's A grade, why is he in there? But it's not that case. South Australia don't change their numbers and things like that at all.
Yeah. I love the way that you say the riders coming over here to support our series, because the way I see it, like the way that this championship is going, and it has gone in the last couple of years, it's actually like an absolutely amazing stepping stone for riders that want to take their riding to the next level. So I think it's actually providing a lot of those interstate riders with a championship and tracks and competition that's of an elevated level that's going to be able to take them to that next step.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of states run grading, which is like the starters for Queensland, and that you might see it sneak in a little bit. The Queensland state titles of the sunny states, they don't run grading.
Yep.
Tasmania runs 2 forms of grading. They have an intermediate and an expert. South Australia runs age group racing. They don't run grading. New South Wales, I think, it's the same. So when they come down, some of them go, I can't beat Pete Wolf. There's no use me entering the expert vet class. I'm going to enter the clubman's because Pete's going to whip me.
Nobody's ever said that, but I get your point.
Well, that's because I've never had a license. That's why. The grading is basically trying to preempt the outcome of a heat, going through heat races and going through a lot of time running heat races to come up with the answer that we've got to try and preempt. That's all it is. Like grading's just trying to say, well, these riders are just a little bit better than these kids, and these ones are a little bit better again, and trying to eliminate going through that heat race process. That's all.
Yeah. Well, the benefit of having all these riders come across is that we had full gates, or just about full gates, or very heavy gates in a lot of the classes. But the junior girls this year, I think a lot have stepped up from last year from seniors. Like we only had 4 junior girls enter this year. what do we have to do to get some more of the junior girls lining up on the gate? Because there is quite a few racing at the various regional series, but what do we have to do to get them over to race the Victorian Championship?
Yeah, absolutely was stunned when I seen the entry list for the girls. Like, it was more like the girls that you're going to see at the Australian Junior Motocross Championships racing for an Australian title there. The girls that it was like that, Eliza Dennis was entered and withdrew. I don't know whether that was through the racing of the Pro MX Nationals the weekend before or just heavy commitments and decided to pull the pin. I'm not sure, but even then, even with that one extra, the numbers are very bad. So, and one that enjoys seeing the girls go out there and have a race and be involved in it. A little bit disappointing, but we can only lead them to water and saying, isn't it?
Well, the series is there. I mean, what is it? If you build it, they will come. So hopefully,
that's right. So
hopefully we get some.
Stop racing for the girls. We're going to continue to support the girls racing. And on the weekend, we had some girls that were prepared to race against the boys. So they raced in, there was one girl raced, Talia Feltham raced in C grade on her 125 and then raced in the girls. We had Nellie Fox race in B grade.
Yeah.
With the boys, raced with the girls. We had Michaela Rimbus from Western Australia come over, Lee Hogan's rider. A good little rider she is too, on a Honda, which is better. But, that was good that she come and had a ride, and then they went back to Ride Park on Sunday and give her sister a ride before they go to Gilman this weekend. So.
Yeah, I'm going to keep a tally of the commission that Honda owes you for every time you mention Honda.
I've already put my order in for a new boost hat. This one's gone grey. It's promoted enough.
No, I'll
talk to your Reeve.
I was about to say, have a chat to your Reeve. All right, well, the track, mate, it was definitely fitting of a state championship. I think it would have been fitting of a senior championship the way it formed up. It was rough. It was technical. There was plenty of different line choices. Once again, for the second year running, the club at Portland have done an amazing job of prepping the track. What were your thoughts on the track?
Yeah, well, I turned up on Friday night and I was thinking, it looks a little bit dry, but come Saturday, I went out. I didn't go out. The boys went out and done their practice and then straight to the wash bays, wash the mud off. So I thought, it's wetter than I thought. So, they must have put a bit more into it.
Yep.
First thing in the morning, I was busy in the camp doing signing, so I didn't see if they were out with more hoses or whatever. But Saturday, perfect. And then Saturday night, full redress. And then I talked to the man above and he put a little bit of rain on top to help it. But I think they were still out watering. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the weather on the Sunday wasn't quite as nice as Saturday. Saturday was just overcast, but we copped a bit of drizzle for the first half of the day. But fortunately, it was not enough to really impede the proceedings. So turned out to be a good weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Good weekend. Club done a great job. Big roll up of riders. We should get a caravan sponsorship out of this. I think they're everywhere, aren't they? It's
definitely
an expensive sport, but then, mate, they turn up and it's nothing short of probably $150,000 worth of caravan and car towing it.
I'll have to get onto Ultimate Toy Haulers. They sponsored the Vic MX calendar, so and they've got some very, very nice looking caravans. Yeah,
mate, there was a large variety, but they get there, they have a bit of luxury while they're away for the weekend, and it was actually a good event, good way to start the series off because we go up to Winton next, I think. Similar terrain to everything, and then down to GV, and then finish off in Ballarat, which we're hoping is giving the riders a little bit of elevation training for those that are going to be representing their state in Darwin.
Yeah, I can't wait for Ballarat. That's got to be one of my all-time favourite tracks to shoot. So looking forward to that one. So one of the other talking points that came out after this, following a little bit of a crash that happened in one of the classes off the start gate, was just some talk about concrete start gates. Obviously, Portland has a concrete start gate, but there was a few suggestions that maybe some of our motocross tracks in Victoria shouldn't have concrete start gates and go back to dirt. What are your thoughts on that? Because, I think, there's definitely a lot of pros of having the concrete there.
I grew up following, my kids grew up following through the Horsham Club, and we ran dirt right through till we put the mesh in. And then we only introduced concrete after that to ease the cleaning and to lower the volunteer base to help clean the start gates and things like that. So, yeah, knobby tyres were designed for dirt. It's a bit of a trick getting a good start on concrete. You only got to add a little bit of moisture to it too, and then all of a sudden it's slipping and sliding and whatever. But yeah,
it's it's a different skill set, provides a bit of uniformity, and as you know, we're already short on volunteers for a lot of the different roles. So, not having to prep behind the start gate and get that all, pristine for every event. It's a big job made easier with the concrete there.
2 sweeps with a bobcat and roll it. It's pretty easy on dirt, to be honest.
But you'd have to be putting, adding dirt quite frequently as well, because it'd get blown out of there other parts of the track.
They take off, they flick it a little bit back, and then they get off the gates, and then they flick from the other side of the start gates back onto it. So they sort of keep it pretty on average, I suppose, not far off. You don't have to do a lot of work to maintain a good start gate with a bobcat sweep a couple of times. So
yeah. So you're saying you'd prefer to see dirt starts?
We went from dirt to mesh, and the mesh, it doesn't affect whether it's dry or wet or anything. It's pretty close to giving you a pretty consistent start. And yeah, the club at the time got it fully funded, so it was through sponsors and things like that. So it was just a no-brainer to do that for the club. But yeah, when you're a new club, putting in a set of start gates, it's either a small pad to hinge the gate off or a massive pad for the lock. It's another cost.
Anyway, we'll see.
I'm probably not answering it for you in the right way, but mate, we always went to dirt, and then the concrete added an extra bit into it. So
it'll be interesting to see how that plays over the years. But I think anyway, at the end of the day, I don't think it impedes the racing too much. There's a lot of pros and cons either way. So
I've been to events where they've washed the start gates down Saturday night, and it's actually just flooded the start line for the first 10 metres, and just a shovel and a broom probably would have alleviated it.
A lot of the issues.
But one bloke on a broom and shovel compared to one bloke on a hose, I know I'll have the hose in one hand and a beer in the other and clean it for you, but don't know.
The most important tool of the job is that beer, isn't it?
Yeah, the stubby holder, keep it cool.
Another thing that I thought went really well, and there was a distinct improvement from last year, was some of the podium interviews afterwards. I think the riders they're starting to understand the assignment, so they were good. Even the younger ones, they did well in the 50cc class. Though I think the bloke doing the interviewing needs a bit of polishing, but we can work on that.
Yeah, I'm really chatty. But I just failed them over and just for the first round of racing tried to get the top 3 for every race. And then in the second race where A and B were raced together in the 65s, I grabbed the 65B grade in the second round and then left it for the Mental for Moto interviews at the end then. So
yeah, I just hold the camera, mate.
Yeah. And you do edit. You do a lot of edit. So.
Yeah, well, this year I'm going to actually save up the bloopers and put them in a reel at the end. So
I think it would be pretty funny actually, because I've already started it for you.
That's all right. You got to make me earn my keep by doing some editing.
Sorry, mate. I don't know what it. Because you do a couple of races that include the wording MX 65s and MX 85s and things like that from Pro MX Nationals, and then you get there to start interview them, and the MX word comes in and you go, well, we're not using that terminology at our event. We're just, issue 65A or whatever. But anyway.
To be honest,
I think I get some of the kids to laugh. I might have eased a little bit of the tension that they had beforehand and just laughing at me just made it a little bit easier for him.
Oh, for sure. Look, to be honest, I'm super impressed at the way you do it. Like to remember, because there's a lot going on, you know, and you're out there all day, you're tired, you've got a million different things going through your head, and then to remember the class sponsor, the class, the riders' names, and then get that out sort of eloquently when you're talking. It's not an easy task, man. I can appreciate what you do, and I think you do it exceptionally well, because I know if it was me, I'd be stumbling over my words a fair bit.
Yeah, talking's not usually my issue, so
it's the shutting up.
Yeah, possibly. When you enjoy the racing, it's not hard to talk about the racing that you've just watched. So watching some of the races, something I enjoy watching and talking about, and when you see a kid make a major mistake or do something, and all of a sudden the levels of the voice go louder, and you know there's probably a squeal, you know, and then to them get up and right away, you go, well, that's cool. And then, you know, unfortunately not every time they get back up and right away, but just watching them race and some close racing really adds to the excitement for me, and I enjoy doing it.
I get that totally. I'm exactly the same when I'm watching it, you know, from behind the camera. Unfortunately, I don't sort of get to comprehend always exactly what's happening, but I can, you know, when I'm watching close battles or riders that are doing exceptionally well, I get excited too. Like, it's just, we're out there because we love the sport, and that's what it brings. It's such an unreal sport. Yeah, so
I don't know, I just seem to watch it. And being a race secretary too, I also have an understanding of how the points go, and I have a good knowledge of where the two riders are sitting and being tied going into the last round of racing and things like that. So you can sort of hopefully add a little bit of interest for the spectators watching the race and watching them two riders fighting it for the last, you know, for that better result in that last race and things like that. So.
Oh, I think it definitely adds to the race day vibe. Like not having a live announcer would take a lot away from that vibe.
It's funny, like I'll be commentating all day, and someone will walk past and I over the PA system say something to them, and they will just completely not even acknowledge me, and I'm going, so they're not even listening to me. I've been talking all day, and it's just if they're not watching the race and they're not listening, to what I'm saying. No, you know what I mean? Like, so they can be walking from the start gate over to the spectator end, and I'll say something to a dad walking past, and they don't acknowledge her. And then later on, they'll say, oh, you know, I heard you say something about my son and things like that, but they don't listen to me talking to them personally. And it's like, I don't know if this PA system's even working. I'm talking away for an hour and I've had it turned off. I went, nah, I haven't done that yet. But I've had a few bloopers that could be talking away and the PA system's not even working. The power's dropped out or something and I haven't known. And everyone's laughing at me because they can see me going off my head talking.
Oh, that's funny as. That's funny as. All right, let's keep this moving along. We'll get into some of the results. So I've made some notes, and we'll just go through each of the classes. We're not going to do this for every round, but I actually thought there was some talking points in just about every round. So we'll start with the 125 A grade class. It was a bit of a battle of the interstaters. We had the Victorian Job Dunn finishing first, Tasmanian Cooper Ford in second, and we're going to get him on the podcast a little bit later for a chat. And South Australian Dylan Gromble in third. They were all battling. It was just fantastic racing to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're hauling. So Job's continuing. He's our reigning Victorian champ on the 125 and come out and showed why he is the champ on that. Looked him very good, like really good on Saturday on that 125. And then seeing Cooper Ford step up to the 125 this year and Dylan Grumble's been, you know, I've seen him around a few events just recently, like at Horsham and things like that, and he stepped it up too. Like, so some great racing and for him to be leading. But, you know, there was a few big kids not far behind them others, but but Job was really on fire on Saturday on that 125. Looked really good.
He was. Well, Cooper Danaher got a third in Moto 1, even though he was under the weather, so he sort of faded a bit throughout the day. But that was great to see him out there. Yeah, again, it's been a while since I've seen him on the gate, and it's pretty stoked to see Connor Gillett with a 5th overall. Like, he's just stepped up to the 125, and I think he's about 38 kilos ringing wet. So to see him getting around on a big bike and doing well, it's pretty impressive.
Connor's going to be that kid that when that size finally grabs, he's going to just take off. He's a little bit small at the minute, but like good rider, really good rider. Guts he has. He's got a massive heart. It's way bigger than his body. But, out of 38 kilos, there's 30 just the heart. He's got a massive heart, that young fella has a go.
Yeah.
And then you look at, Coop Dog, and like, unfortunately, they're supposed to, Sunday night he's in hospital. So
yeah. Well, I actually messaged with Timmy earlier today, so he was going home, but he's got the flu, which is wish him all the well and speedy recovery.
Yeah, it's just something that he puts up with all the time. He's got some, whatever it is, but yeah, just the flu and little things like that can knock him around a lot more than anyone else. But he ain't showing me his 85 potential yet on a bigger bike, but I don't think it's far away. As soon as that clicks, look out, Job. There's going to be another bloke in there giving you a run.
100%.
Good dogs, yeah. And it's not far away, I don't think. Like, he showed a little bit of a glimpse there in one race and at stages in others, but like being crook and things like that. But I think it's only a matter of time and he's going to go, hang on a minute, this 125 is not powerful enough for me, see?
Yes, yeah. In the 250 A grade, Job Dunn wins that one again. Nate Ebeck in second. He's another one of the Lee Hogan BCP riders, isn't he?
Yep, that's right. Out of New South Wales, I've known Nate. His dad actually reminded me. We sat on the table together at the Rockhampton Aussie Juniors presentation night. So that's where I first met him.
Yep.
They had to remind me of that. But yeah, good kid. Can see why Lee's grabbed him. But just a rider that hadn't been picked up, but he's just sitting there and he's showed some good form.
Yeah, he was impressive. Won the last moto. Cooper Ford 3rd overall. So really good to see Cooper. He's been racing the 125 in the MX3 class. So it was good to see him on the 250, and he can throw that around too.
Yeah. He's really stepped up, didn't he, this year? He's even shot up a bit. He must be got the legs from mum because Dad's not real tall, so
he's taller than me.
Dad is?
Yeah.
I
for sure.
Dad was tall, but I thought Mum was a little bit taller than Dad. But anyway, as I said to me, Fords are usually out front. What's going on?
God. Kenny. All right.
It was
Save the dad jokes, mate.
Dad jokes, yeah.
And Ryder Fave in 4th. He's looking good after stepping up to A grade this year as well. The camera loves him. He's got such a cool style. He scrubs. He keeps it low. He throws the bike around. So
definitely one of the races for like most of it in front of Nate Ebick and that.
Yep.
And then whether it was a little mistake down the back that I didn't see, but dropped back a little bit, but showed if he can ride around in front of them blokes for 4 or 5 laps.
It's only a matter of time.
He's not far putting it together, and a little bit of belief too. Probably going straight in. That was his first A grade race this weekend, so.
And getting comfortable, like there is some absolute killers in that class. So getting comfortable, mixing it up with them, and having the confidence that you can beat them. I think when that comes.
Well, to be running around second, you've got a good start.
Yep.
To be able, confident enough to chuck it in the first corner against the rest of the A graders when you're a newbie in that class. Yeah.
All right, 125B. I'm going to butcher the name. You might know how to say it. Antonio Di Virgilio.
He's out of Tasmania. Yep.
Yep. So he took out the class. He actually won 2 classes over the weekend. So he's
he's a little bit lucky. In the 125, Casey Neal basically threw it away.
Yep.
Casey, I think he ended up second, but he was leading pretty comfortable, and then put it down, and then all of a sudden that gave Antonio the win.
So what's that thing that Kenny Watts always says? In order to finish first you must finish.
Correct. Yeah, and Casey was out in front, and he looked like the best I've seen Casey ride, to be honest.
Yep.
And he would look really good out front, and then all of a sudden he went missing. Oh, no. You know, just because he's had last year was his first year of being in B grade and having to race against the Ryder Favs and the James Farahs and those type of kids.
Yes.
And then this is his year, and then he was out front and looking really good, and you know, and then all of a sudden he just put it down and handballed the win to Antonio.
250B class was taken out by Albie Trigg. Cade Bean, stepping up from C grade last year, was on track for the win. He won the first two motos, but he crashed out while leading in the last moto. He fought his way back to fifth and ended up second overall. So, big improvements from Cade.
Yeah, he did look good. Cade, to be honest, looked really good on Sundays. But, yeah, I didn't know what happened. He just dropped off. I didn't know whether he just got a bit of arm pump or whatever, but you were answered it by saying he had a crash. I didn't see that. So.
No, he had a tip over, yeah.
Yeah, but he looks good, and he's on a Honda too, so he's looking really good. No, he does it. All jokes aside, he looks really good out there. So
he does, and I think he's been doing a lot of work
in
the
off. Kid, and family was shouting me drinks and everything all day, as long as I said his name right and everything. So that's next time round.
Yeah, he's got goals in the sport, and I think he puts a lot of work in. So, it's starting to pay off.
Yeah, he had a good year last year, so full of confidence, which is good.
For sure. 125C taken out by Declan Filtness. 250C, Lincoln Sacco, 586 on the Cowie, winning every moto.
He didn't win the last, did he?
Yeah, he won every moto, but he dropped back in the second moto, and I was actually, it was on that straight, like 3 corners in, then you've got that big long straight up the back there with the 3 tabletops in a row.
Yep.
And he was out in front. I assume he saw the camera because he threw a big whip at the tabletop in front of me and threw it a bit too far and landed sort of skew-if, and it actually looked like, even though he didn't go down, it looked like he dislocated his shoulder, and he was obviously in discomfort and he was banging his shoulder and he slowed right down, and a bunch of riders passed him, and then he sorted himself out and ended up getting back to first, but he definitely looked like he was in a bit of discomfort.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that. Actually, I reckon you may have already told me that on the weekend when we were travelling home.
Yeah.
But Lincoln Sacco, right, unreal. He's come on the scene late last year and showed some really good form. And I think he may have only done 2 of the Vics last year or something. And he's a good little rider.
He is. He was definitely a step above anyone else in that class, and I don't really know who all of these C grade riders that are stepping up are. So we'll definitely have to get to know them a bit better over the course of the season. Yeah,
well, we will, because if they're racing with Lincoln and they can give Lincoln a run, they're worthy of having the yak to them anyway. So.
Yeah. Junior Girls was taken out by Lee Hogan BCP's Michaela Rimbus, as you already said, over from WA. Yep. Nellie Fox, I think she was in second. She actually won the first moto, but Nellie Fox, I had to double check because I thought I noticed it when she was on track. She was riding 4 classes over the weekend. She did Junior Girls, 125cc on the Saturday, and 85 big wheel and Junior 250s on the Sunday. That's just that's craziness.
Yeah, so she told me at the start that she said, Kenny, I missed Mark last year with my knee, so I've got to try and recoup a year's racing. So I'm going to do the double up each day and catch up for lost time. And she's had a knee reco and she's just hungry to race.
What a machine!
Once she realises that the 254 stroke doesn't need the revs that the two strokes running, and goes up another gear, she's going to be a good little rider, Nelly. So,
yeah, might I have heard you providing some instruction to change up a gear over the microphone?
Yeah, I did actually. I've got a habit of talking to myself. Up a gear, Nelly, up a gear. So, yeah, you just hear the bike revving, and you're going like the other bike that's pulling away in front of us, not revving as hard. So, they're up another gear, and she's just losing horsepower over revving it. So. She's just jumped on the 254 stroke just recently, so it's a learning curve for her to under rev and over gear change.
Yeah.
She'll be great.
No, she's riding well. In third, Talia Feltham, and fourth, Olivia Tricky. Is that Ryder Tricky's sister by any chance?
No, cousin.
Cousin.
Yeah, cousin. So,
yep.
Talia Feltham, she also just stepped up and rode a 254 stroke on the weekend too. So,
good to see.
Looking good, and her aim was to not be lapped by Michaela, and she done that. And in the last one, actually pulled a little bit bigger gap.
That's awesome.
Got to set herself some goals, knowing that the other two girls are a B or A grade level, and just to set herself a goal and to aim for it all day, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Like we said earlier, it'd be good to see a few more riders on the gate in that class too. And
the sad thing about it, there were some girls there, and I was talking to them, why aren't you racing? Oh, no, it's just not ready for this level of racing. I said, this is the beginner's level for you girls, because there's no grading. You don't have to, you can just come out and enjoy your racing, and like they were there because their brothers were racing, but they didn't race on the weekend, which I was a little bit disappointed they didn't do it.
I'll just
try and convince them for the next one. Just keep talking to them and encouraging them to have a go. The dads are keen for them to race, but the girls aren't ready yet. So.
Well, just by lining up at this stage, they're guaranteeing a top 10. So, get after it.
And, why wouldn't you? Get out there and have a ride.
85A, big wheel. It was the attack of the South Australian boys in this class. Declan Smart in first, Dylan Gromble second overall, and Victorian Nate Short rounding out the podium in third.
Nate won the first one and then had bad starts the next two. So
yeah,
had to work his way, and like some of them were really bad starts, not just fourth or fifth. He was way back. Worked his way through and just seemed to be pegging them off. And he's doing double duties on the Sunday, so doing two classes.
Yep.
Out of 6 hours, he's racing for basically two of them.
Yeah, I think he's got the potential to go a long way. I did a video edit for him at the Pro MX, and like watching him ride in slow-mo through those rollers and stuff is poetry. Like he actually has really, really good bike control.
Yeah, and he's racing three classes.
Yeah.
So, he's probably, when you get a bad start, he didn't give up though, which is good. He just kept pushing, and they were 15-minute motos. Every race was 15-minute motos that he done over the weekend.
Yeah, good length motos, good prep for the next stage.
Yeah, and I don't know whether he needs to focus on one or just keep doing what he's doing, but he doesn't look to be getting tired. He just didn't get a good start. He's coached by Adrian Solomon. I think Adrian needs to be spend a little bit of time on that start with him.
Doing the start gates, yep.
Yeah. He does a lot of different type of racing. So he does speedway and everything else. So he's putting balance and everything into it, and timing and everything else in it. So they'll get that sorted out.
Yeah, Adrian was telling me he's good on anything that has two wheels.
Yeah, well, I've watched some of his footage speedway, and it's pretty impressive. So
yeah. Connor Gillett just missed out on a podium in that class too, with 2/3 and a fifth. So there's some great battles actually in the 85A big wheel.
Yep. Declan Smart coming back. I've seen Dylan race right through his career, and Dylan Grumble, both of them, and they've both, like, Declan Smart turned up on fire this weekend.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Looked really good, and Dylan Grumble's been putting it together. He's now turned 15, so
yeah,
he'd have another year if he wants to stay junior, because his birthday was early March, so he's got another year of juniors yet.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, well, he's coming into his own, so if he stays down in juniors next year, he's going to be probably a force to be reckoned with. Yeah,
he's had some good racing lately, on the weekend he repeated that, so it's cool.
In the 85 B grade big wheel, Antonio Di Virgilio, 111. So, dominated that class. Tahj Tehennepe, who will be getting on the podcast a little bit later as well, stepping up to big wheel this year, second place overall. So that's like a really, really good finish from him. He was a mid-pack rider last year in the small wheel B grade, and to be battling for podiums and even race wins this year on the big wheel, I'm going to be interested to see what they've been feeding him, because he's improved no end.
Yeah, well, you just look at it and you wonder where the kids that were just missed out on being graded last year on the 85 were what they're doing this year, because they should be the ones dominating the class, and Tahj should be the one slowly getting more confident. But to come straight out and get second straight away, it's like
he's
mixed
only
bag for some of the other riders. A bit of a mixed bag for their weekend, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, he's only 13 as well, so he's probably one of the younger riders in the class.
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of 12-year-olds in there too that have just come out of juniors, out of the small wheel class too. So be down there, yeah.
Charlie Hyde.
Yeah, Charlie Hyde had a ripper race. One of his races was leading nearly all the race.
Yep.
Like he was a rider last year, went from small wheel to big wheel, and just didn't really find himself comfortable in there, and possibly doubted his ability to be in there. But come out, his dad had a smile from one side of his ears to the other. Fed him a huge smile. That the kid was probably on the verge of quitting racing. To go out there and ride like he did was just like his dad was absolutely pumped.
Yeah, great family as well. And, so to see him rounding out the podium, awesome effort from Charlie.
Yeah, and just made a mistake near the end there. He was leading that first race easy. And, yeah, like Casey Neal handballed Antonio racing. Like Antonio rode well. So you can't take that away from him. But anyway.
No, definitely. Jai Sellers, fourth. He's another rider who's improved heaps this year, and he's getting coached by Jesse Kolb, who was a Victorian champion from last year. So, that explains.
That's cool.
Yeah, that explains some of his improvements. And Cody Raymaker's showing some good speed as well with a fifth overall in that class. So, a lot of big improvements. Yeah,
that's cool that you say about Jesse helping out a fellow rider and helping him. And probably at the same time gives him a training partner and everything in the process, gives him some tips and whatever else. And
I think through teaching you can actually learn a lot yourself, so it's probably good for Jesse as well.
Yeah, that's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah. 85 big wheel C grade, Jack Lonigan. He wins the overall. He's the son of a vet rider that I race against, Chris Lonigan. So, good to see him end up on the top step of the podium. Harrison Guerca in second, and Chase McIntosh winning the second moto rounds out the podium.
All three riders, sorry, Pete.
Yeah.
All three riders stepped up this weekend. It was really good.
Yep.
I've known all the three riders, watched them race. There's been days you're doubting, what are you doing? And then to see them race like they did on the weekend was just like for their parents and for the kids themselves, just absolutely awesome to see.
Yeah. Well,
just haven't been doing that. So that was really good seeing them do that.
Yeah. Chase is the younger brother of Zane McIntosh. And
he's the McIntosh with the ability.
Well, he's a feisty little character, and when he was winning that second moto, and I tell you what, the rider that he was battling with was trying to get past, and there was no way Chase was going to let him pass. And I could just imagine Lee, the dad, getting pretty pumped up on the sidelines.
It's pretty cool when you see the kids start to actually, gel with the bike, and you see that, they can do it at training and they can do it, but then to actually get out in a race and start putting it all together, that's pretty cool for everybody that's involved that knows the kid and goes, oh, that's pretty cool.
No, most definitely.
Yeah.
85 A-grade small wheel, Mason Ezagalis, Bodie Austin and Angelo Vielma. They're all polished little riders, and I think we're going to see a lot more of them for the years to come.
Yeah, and a lot of them will just see two things, the number 2 and the number 3. That bike with him on it, Mason Ezagalis, like you can't rate him high enough to where his capabilities and everything are. He's an absolute classic rider, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just on a different level at the moment. We saw it last year, and he was battling in this class with Lewis J. Carafa, who's a year older and a little bit physically bigger, and so he's stepped up now to the big wheel. And Mason is making sure that he owns this class now.
And if the other boys can get up there and get close enough to read the back number on the bike, we're going to have some great racing because Mason's he's good, quick out there, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's going to elevate the whole field of them. So they've got someone to chase, and I think it's going to bring all of them up.
Yeah. He's a good wheel rider.
85 B grade small wheel Parker Gibson takes out the win. 85 C grade small wheel Chester Cashel, Elijah Spencer Harper, and Attila Manson rounding out the podium. Honourable mention in this one, Oakley Herdman in fourth. She's riding super well, and I think she got a blistering start in one of the motos. I'll have to ask her about it, and was coming second for a little while. So
I actually bailed her up and interviewed her after a race because of the race that she had. It was a ripper, and just interviewed her. She's keen as to turn 12 to race with the bigger girls. But in the meantime, she's getting better and getting more confident. Get some coaching done by Emma Milicevic, so the empower is starting to rub off on her. So on Oakley, she's very shy girl, but it'll be interesting to listen to her with the interview. So
I'm looking forward to that. 65 A grade, Mason Ezagalis again. I mean, this is his class. He dominated this last year. Bodie Austin in second, and Lucas Poole in third. So second and third were on a countback. So very close racing for second and third on the podium.
Bodie Austin had one bad race, went down off the start line, and then made his way back. And I think he was a lap down. Once he was a lap down, he actually was close to Mason's pace. And you're thinking, God, if he wasn't a lap down, it would have been interesting to see how he goes because he was right, not far behind Mason.
Yep, and he was hanging on. Yeah, he was hanging on.
It was really good. Yep. So I thought, we get a race where he doesn't have an issue, and he might have been a bit sore from the first one, but he come back and he got a bad start in the last one, I think, and ended up getting second in it, and that gave him the count back. So. Yeah,
I'm glad to see him get up because that was a fairly big crash. He took out Willie Orders off the start line as well, and they both went down pretty hard. So it's good to see them. They're obviously a bit banged up, but walk away from that one.
Yeah, they were running around. The dad was running around to see if he was all right and whatever else, but got up and continued on and finished second. So on the countback, which is cool.
And it was probably, even though, like you said, he was a lap down, it was probably his most impressive moto.
Yeah, I thought so too. So
yeah,
I was mentioning that. Like, imagine if he can unlap himself by passing the leader.
Yeah, well, he was trying pretty damn hard. So
he was.
Yeah.
So that was a good race. Like for those people that missed the start and missed the first lap, they were going, Christ, these two young kids are going on, and we had the old bullet head hanging out. So
yeah, well,
people are telling it. Yeah, so
if nothing else, hopefully he can take the confidence from that and take that into round two, and give Mason some curry.
Yeah, no, Bodie's a good little rider, and expect him to come over and keep coming over, and hopefully give Mason a run. And give us some great racing to watch. So
definitely.
It's that good class to watch, that one.
65 B grade, Cruz Ebden takes it out.
He smoked him.
Yep. Probably in amongst some of the A graders.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was like in front of some of them.
Yeah. Willie Orders, who was involved in that incident off the start with Bodie Austin, he managed to get back to fourth overall after finishing only 13th in that first moto. So the rest of his day went much better, even though he was pretty banged up.
Yeah, and expect him to come good soon because he's had some bad luck in the off season. It's been terrible for him.
Yeah.
So give him some good bike time and everything else, and all of a sudden he'll gel and start showing the Willie Orders that we know.
Yep.
That we've watched race and race with the B graders already and race with the A graders already. I think just a little bit of bike time will we'll get him back to that form again. So.
Yeah, I think he'll be battling for podiums and wins when he's back to full health and and had a bit of bike time.
Yeah, and just stay out of the bad luck on the start line and be right. So.
For sure. Well, that was completely out of his control. Unfortunately, Bodie just came right underneath him and he had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I don't think Bodie would have thought, this is the way to do it. I'll just go across here and take us both out in the process. But
just hit a slippery patch and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, sometimes you're a passenger on a motorbike down the start line, depending on the conditions in it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. 65 C grade, massive class, 38 on the gate, taken out by the 411 of Riley Wheeler. So good. This is the future of our sport, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually, while we were waiting, they were doing a bit of track maintenance, so I snuck across and took a video of the 65s on the line. And, 2 gates missing. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, just incredible to watch. I mean, incredible to see them lining up on the gate for a start. All the dads, all the riders, just very cool to see. And then obviously out there like a full track. It was cool.
Yeah. So just to put this into perspective, because we run grading, we gave those kids the opportunity to race on the weekend. You take it to a state that doesn't run that grading, and it's only 40 riders get to race.
Yeah,
we're catering for could be 120 riders by having the grading. So the people that done this grading introduction back into the years ago, seen the foresight of we need these kids racing. We don't need to just say, sorry, you're not quick enough and you're not racing.
Yep.
We need to give them an opportunity to race. And at C grade levels, that's it. And like 38 riders on the line, that is our sport. So just got to keep focus of what it's all about. It's not about just Pro MX is for the top level, and the AJMX is where we need to find the best in Australia. But when we're running race meetings, we need to be catering for all kids to introduce them to the sport, to get them racing and get them comfortable, and then find the ones that have got that next step ready and drive to want to be better and give them the opportunity to do it. So
I know there's a couple of high-ranking officials that think that even at the state championship they should be all open classes, but I think when you've got good numbers on the gates in the graded racing, you want to get as many riders competing as possible. I don't think that what we're doing is wrong. I think it's the best thing for our state with the amount of riders we've got. And if you're in a state that doesn't have the numbers, you can't do it. But when you've got the numbers, you've got to give them an opportunity. So. And finally, the last class, the 50cc Div 2 class, there was a bunch of riders in this that were probably a bit small last year that have improved so much, and they were the ones that sort of ended up at the front of the pack. So taking out the class, Oliver Threadgold, Tyler Phillips and Parker Matthews, and Tyler Phillips and Parker Matthews of obviously the Peter Stevens supported riders as well. So, awesome to see them now, like another year on, battling up the front.
Yep. They're Parker and that are really good riders, but that young kid, Oliver Threadgold, mate.
Yeah. What a weapon.
It's been a long time since I've seen a 50 race at that speed. I can remember race meetings where Bailey Malkowitz was the fastest rider on a 50 and we had to change the rules to cater for him. But this Threadgold kid, and just to give you an understanding, he's 8 years of age. He's in B grade. He races a 65 in B grade and done really good on that too.
Yes. Yep. And as we sort of discussed off air, there's not a lot of riders that will race the 50 and do well in, 65 B grade, even C grade sometimes, because it's such a big step up.
Yeah. So they, by the time they start racing, well, it used to be you started racing on a 50 at 7. Then you started introducing the 8 to 65 when they were 8. And then by the time they turn 9, they're off to 50. And if you're lucky enough, you may get graded when you're 9.
Yeah.
And then, or you've got to get on the 65 and race a year before you start to get results and get graded. This kid's already in B grade.
So where is he from? Because I don't recall seeing him last
He's
year.
actually from South Australia, but when he come over, he was told that he should be looking for B grade. So he's graded in B grade in Victoria.
It's deserving because, the kid can ride.
Yeah, it was funny because Saturday morning, I had a dad go, how can a 50 rider be graded? And I said, well, because he's good.
Yep.
And they said, you can't get graded when you're on a 50. And I said, you don't get graded on a 50. It's the results from the 65 that get you graded.
Yep.
And they go, oh. I said, it's just some kids aren't ready for that 65 early enough to get a good season and to get graded, but they don't get graded in time. And it's after they finish their 50 career that starts happening.
So,
and then there was a question said, oh, we've got B grade riders with C grade numbers. What's the go with that? And they said their names. I said, he's an enduro rider. He's an enduro rider.
So you're saying
their enduro.
Are you saying, Kenny, if he's only 8 years old, was he racing the 65 last year at 7?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic.
Well, he may have been 8 last year. He's not 9. He's not.
Yes.
He's only 8. Currently 8 at the minute. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, they chucked him on it and rode. I don't know what he finished. Did he finish just out of the top 3 in B grade?
I've got it here. Just hang on.
One of the races, he was right up there running second or something. But when he makes him and starts, it struggles to pick the bike up.
He finished 6th in the 65 B grade out of 16 riders.
Not a bad effort for an 8-year-old kid, is it?
That's unreal.
Yeah, no, and he's from South Australia. I'm not sure whereabouts in South Australia. I'm not sure if he's in Adelaide or Mount Gambier, but we've seen him at a few regions last year and things like that. So I've seen him a fair bit.
He's going to be one to watch for sure.
Yeah, he looked good on the 50. Like the 50, he's like his form on the 50 is amazing to watch.
Yep.
Really good.
Yep, little James Stewart.
We might have to adopt him, I think.
Yeah, get him on a Honda. No, all good.
Yeah, yep. No, that's good, mate. So,
all right. On that note, Kenny, it's time to call in some of these riders. So I'm going to get Cooper Ford on the line. It's always awesome to have you on for a chat, and I look forward to seeing you at the next round.
Yeah.
Traralgon for the seniors.
My son, in 21 years, never raced Traralgon.
Well, Kyle Webster's never raced Traralgon.
A lot of riders have never raced at Traralgon, unless they've come out of juniors, because they generally unless you race out of the Gippsland Region Centre, a lot of riders have not raced Traralgon. So
yeah, Kyle Webster and Jed Beaton have never raced Traralgon. So, and I think
I invited them.
Yeah, I think they're going to be there. From what I understand, they're all coming to race the state round again. So it's going to be another banger.
Yeah, I think Kyle's bringing me new a hat.
I'll have to shoot him a message.
Yeah, I pointed at it for him to boost.
No.
All right, thanks, Pete. Thanks very much for this, and hopefully you have some good luck with the kids, and we can spread some joy about motocross here in Victoria, and keen as now. So go to Traralgon for the seniors, and then we're off to Winton for the juniors. So excellent.
Look forward to it. Always a pleasure, Kenny. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Wimpy. See you, buddy.
See ya. All right, our first rider guest calling in from Tasmania for this episode, Cooper Ford. Welcome to the podcast, Cooper.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be on.
Fantastic. So, how was your trip back down to Tasmania?
Trip was good. I left Portland on Sunday arvo, drove to Melbourne that night, pulled up just near the airport, and we had a stay there. So that was good, but up early to get a 6:10 flight back home for school.
Yeah, so you fly back and forth when you're racing on the mainland?
Yeah. So when we first started, we used to have a little Toyota Hiace and would take the Spirit over.
Yep.
And as you know, things grow, we got the Sprinter van and we used to do it, but the cost of the Spirit just gets too much. So, yeah, we leave our van over there, have a couple of bikes there and a couple of bikes here, and, makes it a bit cheaper when travelling.
Oh, for sure, and a lot quicker and easier, because that trip on the Spirit, it takes a long time too, doesn't it?
It's about a 10-hour trip on the Spirit, plus we live 3 hours away from it. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mission if you're going to take that every time. So
whereabouts in Tassie are you from?
Oh, I'm from Hobart, so down the bottom.
Yeah, and so is there a lot of racing around where you are?
There's a little bit. we have the state championships, which has 4 tracks, I think we go to.
Yep.
I think we have 6 racetracks in Tasmania. We have a fair few private tracks, though, which are really good in winter after rain.
What's the level of racing like down there?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. We used to have a fair few kids up on 65s and that. A couple of kids have left the sport for a couple of different reasons. But, yeah, it's good. Still have a couple of people that push me if they get a start and have to push through and pass them. But, yeah, normally I'm pretty good down here.
Yep. So you've got some faster riders to train with as well, or do you come and train back on the mainland?
Yeah, so I do a fair bit with the Beaton's crew out at Wonthaggi and that. So riding there with all the fast boys, which is good.
Yep.
Really helps me. And then at home, the kids I train with, I am a fair bit faster than, but I know what I need to work on and I just work on what I need to work on at home.
Yeah, and so have you got a coach back home as well, or does your dad help out with that?
My dad mainly helps out, and one of the kids I ride with, his dad, Darren Jenkins, he's a pretty good help to me as well.
Oh, fantastic. So, you got all bases covered.
Yeah.
So you obviously came over on the weekend and raced the first round of the Junior Vics at Portland. You finished with 2 podiums, one in the 125cc A grade and one in the 250cc A grade. But, yeah, tell me about your weekend from your perspective.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Rocked up Friday afternoon. I honestly thought the track was going to be a bit dry by looking at it.
Yep.
Looked a bit dry and that. Woke up Saturday morning and track was really, really good. So had the 125 Saturday. Got a good start in the first moto. Me and Job got out front pretty quick and we were in a pretty good battle. Unfortunately for Job, he went down and I got the win in that one, which was great for me.
Yeah.
Second one, Job, I think, pulled the whole shot. I didn't have the best start, but it wasn't too bad. Pushed through the field, was catching Job and then myself, I went down. And then it really come down to the last moto. Whoever could win that would get the overall. Came out of the gate, probably one of the worst starts of my life. But I came from about last and got back to third. So, yeah, thought that was a pretty good effort. And, yeah, the roost really hurt out there.
Yeah, that's amazing effort. So I remember seeing you last year. You were on the 85. How long have you been racing the 125? Because you're doing exceptionally well. Like Job's the reigning Victorian champion on the 125. And, have you just stepped up to that this year?
So I had one last year, but I spent a lot of time injured last year, breaking my collarbone early on in the year. And then I broke my tib and fib a little bit later on. So, I didn't get to spend heaps of time on the 125 last year. And this year we've really gone all in on it. We've got a way better suspension set up, got the bike running well, and, really training hard.
Yep. So does it give you a bit of confidence, being able to battle with Job and compete with Job on the 125?
Yeah, it did. Definitely. It did. I haven't really done many just 125 races on it. I've only ever done the Tassie State titles and this year like the MX3 at Wonthaggi and the Vic Seniors.
Yep.
So, it was good to race people who are on 125s as well and see how I really go.
So I was actually going to ask you, so I've seen you obviously race MX3 on the 125 a couple of times against a lot of the 250 riders. What's the plan now moving forward? You obviously jumped up to the 250 for the Victorian Championship. Are you still going to compete in MX3 on the 125 or are you going to step up to the 250 for those races moving forward?
For Acton, I'm going to stay on the 125, mainly because the tracks get obviously a lot wilder at Pro MX than they do at the Vics and that. And at the moment, I just don't quite have the strength to be able to hang on to the 250, I don't think, when it gets to the rough point.
Yes, yep.
So I'll stay on the 125 for now. And to be honest, I wasn't even going to race the 250 on the weekend. A couple of weeks ago, we just got the bike in Tassie. And I had a mishap with my 125. So we drove home and grabbed that and I rode it down at the local track, stock suspension and that. So, that was pretty good. And then I rode it the next weekend with my 125 suspension in it to get a bit more of a feel for it. That was really good. It was just a little bit soft. And then we went over to the Pro MX. So my plan was to come back that week and put the suspension in it, which we sent away, which was meant to be 250 suspension. Test that, and then we're going to see if we're going to take it away or not. But I ended up staying the week with the Beatons crew.
Yes.
So last minute decision, we threw it in a friend's van. He brought it over for us on the Spirit. And, I really surprised myself with how I went on it. So, it was good.
Well, one of my questions was, because you are sort of a smaller stature, How have you found the transition to the 250? Because a lot of riders take at least a year or two to acclimatise themselves to the bigger bike. But like watching you on the weekend, you actually were really competitive against some riders that have been on that, for a lot longer.
Yeah, no, I found the transition quite easy. I think that, to be honest, the 250s or four strokes in general are a bit easier to ride. In a way, you can be a bit lazier on them.
Yep.
Compared to the 125, where you've really got to hang off the clutch a bit more and stuff like that. So we've had a plan for the last year just to stay on the 125 and keep training real hard on that, because we think that if you can swing off a 125, you'll be able to do it easier on the 250. And I think that showed, seeing it was only my third time riding it on the weekend and getting results like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You'd think you'd been riding it for a lot longer, like watching your race.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the 250 then, you obviously raced that on Sunday. Yeah, tell me about that.
That was really good. I struggled a bit in the practice. It was a bit wet. The bike's a fair bit heavier than a 125. So I struggled a bit in the practice. Wasn't too happy with that. But went out in race one. Didn't have the best start. Came through the field, got back to fourth. So that was pretty good. I definitely got a lot more confidence just by doing one race on it.
Yep.
So felt really good going into Moto 2. Had not a too bad start. So, a bit happier with the start on that one. And got third in that one. So Job won that one and then Nader Beck second. And then the last one I was able to pull whole shot and I got second. So, I was really happy with that for my first weekend on the 250.
Oh, for sure. So you improved through each moto.
Yeah, and certainly got my confidence up.
Yeah, I can imagine. So is the plan moving forward to race that class at all of the rounds of Victorian Championship? Hopefully we can race the 250 at the next round. The 250 is back in Tassie this weekend. We have a state title coming up. Yep.
So it's back at the moment, but hopefully we can get it back over for the next round at Winton.
So you were sort of saying you're going to stick to the 125cc when you go back to the MX3 class at the Pro MX. If you start getting more comfortable and you do more races on the 250, are you going to take that and start racing that in the MX3 class sort of towards the end of the year, or is the plan sort of to stay on the 125 this year?
Definitely. If I get more confident on it, grow a bit, definitely start racing the 250 in MX3 class. I think it would make it a fair bit better, a bit easier off the start and that. So, definitely doing it the hard way at the moment, but hopefully it teaches me well for when I do get on the 250. Yeah.
Well, you've done like super well. You did well on the 85cc, you're racing both motocross and supercross, and you obviously had an amazing start, on the big bikes as well. What are your sort of goals and ambitions in the sport?
So my dream is to make it to the AMA one day. I think that would be awesome.
Yep.
Race the supercross and motocross over there. But for the next few years, I would love to win an MX3 championship on a 250. So that would be ideal, really. And I'd like to win a MX3 250 championship.
Yep. So how old are you? So how many more years have you got in the MX3 class?
15 at the moment. So I have 3 more years left in that class. So, I've still got a fair bit of time. I think there's a fair few quick boys going up this year. So then I really should be able to show a bit more of my talent next year.
No, definitely. Well, there's no rush. You got plenty of time. And I think at this stage, it's just about getting experience, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Getting experience on the big bike, getting a bit more comfortable, and hopefully I can show it in a couple of years.
Yep. So when you're racing the MX3 class this year, do you have a particular goal of like where you want to be, or is it just about getting out on track, riding the different tracks and getting acclimatised to the bigger bikes?
Well, coming into round one, I didn't really have much of a goal. My main goal was to qualify. Obviously, you had a very tough field there.
Yeah.
So I did that. Obviously, round two, goal is to qualify again. I wouldn't really say I have goals as such when racing. I just ride the best I can and see where that puts me. But I know like a few people my age that I should be battling with, and hopefully I can get up there with them.
No, that's the best way to approach it, because I think when you're out on track, you sort of have no control over where you are. But if you can ride to the best of your ability, the rest will sort of happen.
Yeah, 100%. And on a 125, you're obviously coming from the back because you're not getting a good start like a 250. So that makes it a little bit harder, but it's all part of it.
Like you said, I think it'll make you a better rider in the long run. And if you know that you can make it through the pack and you've practiced that, that passing on those Pro MX level tracks as well, it's only got to help you moving forward.
yeah, definitely. Like you look at someone like Jed Beaton and that, and how good he is at coming through the field off a bad start. So yeah, hopefully I can get like that.
Yeah. And one thing that I definitely notice with a lot of the MX3 riders as well, when they are further back in the field, because a lot of them aren't used to being there, racing at state level and regional level, they're used to being at the front. They panic a little bit, like being that little bit younger and not used to being further back. So I think, yeah, what are your sort of thoughts? Do you think it'll help you in that regard too, is just to stay calm and know that you can get through the packs?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I know that I'm quite a fit person, so I personally love the longer motos. I normally come strong at the end of the moto, which is the wrong way around to do it. But, yeah, I know that the long motos definitely help me, and there's not too much of a rush. Just get to a couple riders a lap and you'll find yourself up the front in no time.
So what do you do midweek then for fitness? Like how often do you ride and how often are you getting sort of to the gym, and what sort of stuff do you do to stay fit?
Yeah, I ride normally Saturday, Sunday and Tuesday or Wednesday during the week. So I normally try to ride 3 times a week. And then gym, I'll go 2 to 3 times a week, just depending on how the body's feeling and if we've been away or not.
Yep.
So, yeah, it really just depends, but definitely try to ride 3 times a week, and gym at least twice.
Yeah. Do you find it like challenging? You're obviously doing a lot of races on the mainland. Do you find it challenging coming up? I know we sort of spoke about it, that the flights are a lot easier than coming over on the boat, but moving forward, if your career progresses, would you sort of consider moving to the mainland, or are you happy to sort of do it down from Tassie and pursue your career from down there?
Yeah, 100% moving forward. It'd be great to move over there and live with the Beatons and train with them. That's definitely something I'd love to do. It's a bit hard at the moment because Mum and Dad both have good jobs down here.
Yep.
And obviously I haven't got my license to drive myself around over there yet. So that makes it a bit hard, but maybe in a year or two when I can get my Ps.
Yep.
Yeah, move over there and that'd be awesome.
And are you still at school, or are you homeschooling?
No, I'm still doing school, so I'm in year 10 at the moment, and
Yep.
yeah, still going.
Oh, fantastic. Before I let you go, who helps you out to get to the races and, supports your program?
The whole KDM junior racing team, Beaton's Pro Formula, Troy Lee Designs, Pirelli Tyres, Wear Lusty, Funnel Web Filters, ODI, Pod Active, Hustle Street, and everybody else that helps me here and there. Definitely could not do it without them, and yeah, Mum and Dad.
No, it's definitely a big effort when you're racing, state titles and MX3 at the Pro MX, and then obviously you'll be doing the Supercross again later this year, I imagine.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure for the Supercross yet. We're just going to see how the year goes and go from there, I think. So, trying not to get too far ahead of ourselves.
No, for sure. Is that just because you've stepped up to the bigger bikes?
Yeah, definitely. Just because I've stepped up to it, and obviously being a little bit smaller, not quite having the strength on a big bike to hit whoops and stuff like that if something goes wrong. But if we don't race it, we'll definitely train it and race it the next year.
No, it's a good approach. Good approach. Well, thanks heaps for coming on for a chat. I really appreciate it, and it's been great having you on.
No, thank you for having me.
All right, our next guest on the line for the Peter Stevens Vic MX show for the junior round at Portland is Tahj Tehennepe. How are you going, Tahj? Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. How was your trip back after Portland?
Yeah, long drive, pretty boring, but yeah, we made it.
Straight back to school, or did you have a bit of a break?
We had Monday off and just to get back, and then back to school Tuesday.
So you had a bit of relaxed time after racing, because it's a pretty hectic weekend, isn't it? And it's a long way to go.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're out in Gippsland as well. So tell me about your weekend.
Well, pretty bad starts, but we made our way back to third in the first moto, and then second in the second moto, which was a terrible start, like last out of the corner, so I had to push my way through the pack.
Yep.
And then third in the last moto, so yeah.
Well, I've been getting to watch you ride for the last couple of years, and the track out there was very rutty and technical, but what I find is that is the sort of conditions that you thrive in. Did you like the track out there, and what was it like having to come through the pack and pass other riders out there?
Yeah, I love the rough tracks like Wonthaggi and stuff. So like it's still hard, it's still tough competition, but I'm definitely better on the rough tracks to get past them.
Like out there, it's a clay track, obviously. Wannie's more of a sand track. Do you like the clay tracks as well? And it was pretty wet in the morning too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The clay tracks are good as long as they're rough. So.
Yep. So you only raced the one day, didn't you? You raced on the Sunday in the 85 big wheel class.
Yeah, so I raced on the Sunday, yeah.
Yep, 85 big wheel. So you stepped up from the small wheel last year. And I have to say, it's probably one of the biggest improvements I've seen out of any of the riders on the weekend. So last year, I think you finished 15th in the championship. You had a bit of an injury, which I'll ask you about shortly. But you were sort of a mid-pack rider last year. And this weekend on the 85, the big wheel, you were battling for podiums. What have you been doing in the off-season? Like, is it just lots of riding or tell me about it?
Yeah, been going for a few runs and swims and, yeah, try to ride as much as I can, really.
Yeah. So how often do you get out on the bike?
Probably like once throughout the week and once on the weekend, yeah.
Yeah. And where do you ride?
Probably wherever I can mainly, yeah, like wherever like close tracks are open and stuff.
Have you got a track at home?
Yeah, so Paul Melbourne built us one at home.
Yep. And what's that like?
Yeah, I love it. It's really good.
Yeah. Is it sort of got jumps or is it more of a turn track with deep ruts?
Yeah, no, it's got big jumps and stuff, yeah.
And who sort of coaches you midweek? I know your dad rides and he's pretty handy on a dirt bike and he's probably sitting there listening as well.
Yeah.
Does he help you with your riding and coach you, or do you get coaching elsewhere?
Yeah, mainly Dad helps me, yeah.
So what's it like coaching your son, Jake? I know you're sitting there, so yeah, might as well get you on the line as well.
Very proud moment this weekend, and obviously the weekend before with Pro MX. Couldn't be prouder of him at the moment. And I love coaching him because he actually listens to every word I say, and none of my other friends can believe that I'm his coach as well as his dad. So cause they reckon that none of their sons will listen to a word they say. So I'm very lucky there, I suppose.
Well, he's a very skilled and fast rider, and like I sort of said, he's improved so much this year. What's it like for you on the sidelines? Do you get nervous or excited? Like what are the emotions that you go through on a typical race day?
I'm a lot more calm to watch him these days because he, as you say, he's grown so much as a rider that I don't have to sit there stressing that he's going to, have a big off or whatever. I mean, I know it's always possible, but his capabilities have just grown so much in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
that I can actually sit there and really enjoy watching his race. Like this weekend at Portland, I just watched him battle his way through from the back of the field to the front of the field, and it was enjoyable. It was really enjoyable as a dad to watch your son do so well. So,
well, I was going to ask you, but I might ask Tahj. So, do you get to ride much with your dad?
Yeah, on the weekends and stuff at Hastings and Traralgon and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, who's better out of the two of you?
Me.
Yeah, have you got anything to say to that, Jake?
Oh, I probably can't really disagree with that now.
I think you
depends on the track, I think, but it's definitely faster than me at Wonthaggi.
Yep. Oh, that says a lot because that's definitely one of the hardest tracks to ride.
Yeah, it is for an old bloke.
So Tahj, you actually you raced your first Pro MX MX85 race a couple of weeks ago at Wonthaggi. How did that go for you?
Yeah, pretty good on the second day. The first day wasn't probably the best of what I could do, like just dropping it in corners and silly mistakes like that.
Yeah. Was it pretty tough to do? Like, was it overwhelming at all? Because obviously there was a big gate. There's lots of fast riders that are, in their second and third year of racing the 85 big wheels. Like it's a really high caliber of event and racing. How was it for you, like the whole experience? Were you nervous coming in or did you really thrive in that sort of environment?
Yeah, I was really nervous, like just with all the big flags and fast, like real fast riders as well, yeah.
And the crowds?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once you got out on track, was it like, every other race or were you still sort of finding yourself getting a bit distracted by everything else that was going on?
Probably in the first few laps of practice, I just needed to focus a bit more and trying to get used to the conditions and the flags and everything.
Yeah. Well, you did unreal. Like, I think what did you come, 22nd overall?
Yeah, on the second day, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something to be super, super proud of. Did you identify anything that you can work on now to improve your racecraft?
Starts and probably holding a rut, momentum for a rut a bit better.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be racing those Pro MX level tracks, that's definitely a good skill set to have because, those tracks get pretty ruddy.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah. And for you, Jake, what was that like, that whole event?
Yeah, my main focus for the whole event was just to keep Tahj calm because I know what I would be like if I was turning up to race that event. So I just tried to make it just as if it was just another trail ride, I suppose. Like, yeah, just keep it as fun as possible. And it was for us, we went there with no expectations and just as it was a learning curve and just to really watch what the big boys do in the pits and what they do at the start line and, yeah, just to learn as much as we could and have an experience. And, like, for us, we're going to go there and watch it anyway.
Yep.
So if you have the chance to ride it, why wouldn't you?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. It's, I mean, regardless of the result, like, it's got to be an experience that you're going to look back on for the rest of your life, both, Tahj and yourself.
Oh, 100%. And we've got a special plate, his front number plate made up for the day with his Pro MX sticker across the top, and that's now proudly hanging in the shed.
Oh, fantastic, mate. Fantastic. So last year you didn't quite have the year that you wanted. You had a few injuries. Yeah, how's it sort of been this year? Have you fully recovered, Tahj, from, I think, what did you do towards the end of last year? Did you break your arm?
I broke my hand, yeah, so that was pretty upsetting. Like, we were going pretty all right in the season, and that happened, so we kind of just lost a lot of points and stuff.
Did you end up having to have surgery or anything like that, or was it just the time off the bike?
It was just time off the bike, yeah.
And as far as motocross goes, what are your goals in the sport? Like, do you have a sort of short-term goal and a long-term goal?
Well, my long-term goal is to race the Worlds, but that's still a bit away and a lot of learning to do to get there. So
yeah, like MXGP, you mean?
Yeah.
Yep, or go to the United States?
Probably like the MX Nations and the MXGP, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So motocross is sort of what you're leaning towards, not supercross?
No, motocross for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so do you have a favourite rider that inspires you, like someone that you aspire to be like?
Probably Jeffrey Hearns or Jet Lance.
Yeah, well, they're both definitely good riders to idolise because they're probably the two best riders that have been on a dirt bike potentially ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been awesome to have you on the podcast, Tahj. Before I let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to thank or mention that supports your program?
Mental for Moto and Christensen's Motorcycles.
Yeah, and I think you're forgetting two people that are really important.
Mum and Dad, yeah.
No. Well, thanks, Tahj. I've enjoyed our chat and I look forward to seeing you at the next round.
Yeah, thank you, Pete.
All right, and our final guest on for this episode is Oakley Herdman. Welcome to the podcast, Oakley. Great to have you on.
Yep, thanks for having me here.
Absolutely my pleasure. So have you recovered from the weekend's racing?
Yeah, I've recovered. I'm still a little sore in some places, but that's all.
Oh, did you have any crashes or just sore from the racing?
No crashes, just like sore from impacts, from jumps, and just moving around on the bike. Yeah,
it was a pretty rough track, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So tell me about your weekend. Like, how did your races go? You raced the 85 C grade class on the small wheel. Tell me about your races.
Yeah, I raced the 85 small wheel class in C grade, and I did practice, and I thought I did pretty good. The track was really fun, and I found myself going much better than I thought I would. And then first race, I got the whole shot, which first time I've ever done that, and I got 5th place, and the track was perfect condition for me. And then the second race was really good too, and I didn't get the whole shot, but my start was still perfect, and it was a real fun day.
And how'd you go in the third race?
The third race was also really good. I nearly got another whole shot, and that time I got fourth, which was a big accomplishment for me.
So you ended up with fourth overall against a fairly big class. When you were getting those great starts, I could hear from where I was on the track, a lot of the crowd were cheering for you and calling out your name. Could you hear that when you're on the bike?
No, I was very focused on the race, but on the start gate, I imagined like my Poppy and my Nana cheering for me on Speed Hive.
Yeah.
And my dad.
Yeah. Well, you obviously had a lot of fans at the track and at home that were watching the live timing. So I noticed, like, watching you race in the championship last year compared to this year, you've made a lot of big improvements in your riding. Like, you just looked a lot more comfortable and a lot faster this year. So what have you been doing since last year?
Well, lately I've been doing training off bike and on bike with Emma Milicevic on a training app. And I've also been doing CrossFit on Thursdays.
Oh, wow. So how often are you getting to ride during the week?
Most of the time, every weekend.
Just the weekends, yep. And so what does your midweek training with Emma look like? Like, are you going to the gym or are you going for runs? Like, what does that look like? Tell me a little bit about that.
So we have an app, and it tells me what I do today. So it'll usually start off as in the morning, a morning stretch, and then either some walking or running or cycling on certain days, and other days Pilates, and then there's also rest days.
Yeah. And do you check in with Emma like during the week and speak to her to talk about how your training is going?
Yes, sometimes I do like call her. We have like nearly like little meetings sometimes to talk about what we've been doing, and also like little check-ins.
Yep. And do you feel like that's been helping your riding and your racing a lot?
Yes, it's been really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've got a lot more confidence.
The confidence is everything. So you do the mentoring program with Emma as well, where she comes out on race day, don't you?
Yeah, I do, but I do a lot of my stuff with Dad too.
And so just starting off with Emma, like what sort of input does she provide into your race day? Like, she's obviously got a world of experience and she's been racing at a very high level. What sort of tips can she give you on race day, and how does she help?
She'll sometimes tell me some parts of the track that I question about.
Yep.
And she'll also, last year she got me to do some warm-ups, but now I've figured out how to do my own warm-ups. And last year we also walked the track together, and now I walk the track with my dad, so I can like still learn the track by myself.
No, that's fantastic. Your dad, he's done a fair bit of racing in his time as well, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, and he was a really good racer.
Yeah. And
it's really good for me because I can learn off of him, and he coaches me sometimes.
Does he still ride, and do you ever get a chance to ride together?
He doesn't really ride that much, but he does have his own motorbike, and last year he did a little bit of riding with me, and it was really fun.
I've got daughters as well. It definitely is fun getting out on the bike together. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Seemed like it would be really fun.
Are you faster than him yet?
Nearly. I haven't really seen how much faster I've gotten compared to him, but my dad always does remind me that I am getting nearly faster than him, and he does sound a little jealous.
Oh, that's gold. That's absolutely gold. So the track on the weekend was really technical. Do you like that sort of track, or do you prefer like hard pack tracks or sand tracks? What's your sort of preference?
I prefer more technical tracks. I like it when it's slowed down a bit more. I find myself enjoying it more, and also just having more fun in general.
Yeah. So where do you ride when you practice?
we'll go anywhere really, but there's a track next to us where we live.
Yeah, so is that kind of ruddy as well? So is that why you like sort of ruddy technical tracks?
It's in the middle of ruddy and hardpack, but it's just like a little ride park really.
So where is that?
It's City MX.
Oh yes, yep. No, so there's a lot of fast riders coming out of City MX. I think Willie Orders and Zane Hohouse, they both train out there. Do you train with those guys?
I usually just train with Emma Milosevic and Joel Milosevic usually, and sometimes there'll be like coaching days and all of that, and I'll most of the time go to those.
Yeah. Have you been doing some of those women's ride days as well?
Yeah, not that long ago there was one with Emma, which I did, and it was really fun.
Yeah, is that cool getting to ride with heaps of other girls?
Yeah, it was really inspiring for them and me.
Yep.
And also seeing like young riders like learning to ride a lot better was really encouraging and inspiring.
Oh, that's very cool. You race the 85 C grade class. How come you're not racing the junior girls class?
I'm not old enough yet. I have one more year, and I also find myself liking to race with the boys more sometimes, just a little bit more adrenaline, and it also does help when you're with a bigger group sometimes while racing.
Definitely, and it's a pretty big gate in that class as well.
Yeah, there is usually a lot of people racing.
Unfortunately, the junior girls class this year, there wasn't too many riders. What do you think we need to do to get some more girls racing in the Victorian Championship?
Well, I think maybe they could make a younger class, maybe 10 and under for girls, because it may be intimidating for some girls to race with like multiple genders, which can be pretty scary.
Yeah. That's a very good idea. I might have to put that to Kenny and see what they think.
Yeah.
So how long have you actually been racing for and riding for?
So I started racing when I was 8 on a 50.
Yep.
But I was riding I think when I was 5 or 6 on a Pee-wee.
And so what are your goals in the sport? Do you have sort of short-term goals or a long-term ambition?
This year I'm hoping to maybe podium and also get top 5 in the Vic titles. And long-term I also want to one day get to be a pro, win multiple races.
Yep. Did you get to watch the Oceania Women's Cup for the Pro MX at Wonthaggi a couple of weeks ago?
No, I don't think I have watched it.
Oh, that was that was really good. They had women there from Africa, New Zealand, America, and Australia all racing against each other. There was 38 women on the gate, so that was that was a really great event for women's racing.
Yeah, that seemed like it would. If I haven't watched it, but I probably will see if I can get to watch it with my dad, because it does seem pretty cool.
That was very, very cool. Before I let you go, Oakley, and I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, who helps you get to the races? Do you have any sponsors, and who helps you out with your program?
I have Peter Stevens, ProRace, Penrite, Valley Moto Group, N-Power, Fox Australia, and a few other sponsors that help me, and also my family, dad, my brother, and my nana and poppy.
Oh, well, fantastic. Well, it's been great having you on, and I really enjoyed having a chat.
Yep, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Peter Stevens Vic MX Show, presented by Moto Cred. If you like this episode, don't forget to give us a positive review on your preferred podcast platform, and make sure you subscribe to Mental for Moto and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next episode. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Kenny Watts for joining me to co-host, as well as our guests for this episode, Cooper Ford, Tahj Tehennepe, and Oakley Herdman. A shout out also to the April sponsor of our Vic MX wall calendars, Iro helmets and 5 gloves. When it's time to get a new lid and some premium handwear, make sure you head down to your local Peter Stevens store and check out the range of Iro helmets and 5 gloves. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. On behalf of Mental for Moto, I've been your host, Pete Wolf. Until next time, see ya.